Well, welcome everybody, and thanks to Hiba and Christopher, for making this event a reality. We want to make sure that we stay as informed. We have our students as informed as possible. A lot of things are changing, but I wanted to assure everyone that we are here to make things as helpful and as comfortable and as I would say responsible as possible. So you're going to hear a lot of different things. We are here to make sure that everyone's questions is answered. It's a very difficult time for every one of us. This is the first time that we've done it. We don't have all the answers. We don't. But at the same time, we want to make sure that your education is taking place in the best way possible under the circumstances. So you're going to see all of our efforts today. Some of these slides will show and remind us how we're going to return in the fall, and we're here to answer all of those questions or give you people and sites where these questions will be answered. So we have a great team here, and you're seeing it on this slide. So welcome, and we look forward to answering your questions, to helping you out. And if we don't know the answer, we will refer you to something different. There's no question that is not going to be welcomed, and we do hope, and if there's a personal question, we'll take that offline. So if there isn't any questions you have that is hopefully of greater interest to students, put it right here, but it's a personal and more direct, please let us know and we'll take it offline.
Thank you, Dr. Velazquez. We appreciate your willingness to engage students, faculty, and staff. Thank you. Dr. Mark Weiss, can you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Mark Weiss, the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education, and I work closely with Dean to make sure all of our under students are taken care of.
Thank you. Dr. McGoran?
Yes, I am Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, and I am responsible for graduate student affairs.
Mario Sanchez?
Good afternoon, everybody. I am the Associate Director for Advising, and I oversee the CEC advising team.
Jocelyn Naranjo?
Thank you all for being here. My name is Jocelyn Naranjo. I'm the Manager of Academic Advising Services for Computer and Information Technology students.
Thank you. And Donnelly Dorset?
Thank you, everyone. My name is Donnelly Dorset. I am the Manager for Building Operations at the college. My duties involve daily operations at the building and also project and construction management, and most recently preparing the building for the eventual repopulation during this COVID pandemic. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you, Donna. I know you've been working around the clock and in person a lot, so we appreciate your effort. Thank you very much.
Most welcome, most welcome.
Steve Lewis?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Steve Lewis, the Executive Director for Technology for the college. I oversee with our technology services team the lab operations, so the open computer labs, the computer training labs, and remote access. And I hope you're staying safe.
Thank you. And Dr. Emanuela Stanislaus.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today and looking forward to a great conversation. I am Emanuela Stanislaus. I'm the Associate Director for the Career and Talent Development Office at the engineering, or for the engineering college specifically. And so we're here to help you identify great internships, prepare for those opportunities, as well as thinking about after you graduate, whether it's grad school, going to grad school, as well as full-time opportunities.
Thank you. Dr. Alejandra Parra.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I am the Executive Director for the Office of Global Mobility that oversees the Office of International Student and Scholar Services and the Office of Education Abroad. And as you can imagine, we've been very busy starting in the spring. And I am here to answer your questions, to make sure you get the information you need to proceed to a successful fall 2020. And thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming, Dr. Prado. We're welcome to have you. Katie Conrad.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Katie Conrad. I'm the Senior Associate Director of Financial Aid. So I suppose I am here to answer your financial aid questions.
Thank you. And Tamara Nathai.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am from One Stop. I'm an enrollment officer. I can answer your questions in regards to your classes, registration, and anything else related to that. I can connect you with the right person. Thank you all for being here.
And thank you, everyone, all of our panelists. We appreciate your introductions. And thank you to all of the other unit representatives, chairs, undergraduate program directors that are attending today's meeting. We appreciate your time and support of our students. Let's begin today's forum with some housekeeping items and let you know a little bit about what you can expect from today's format. First, today's discussion is being recorded. So you will have access to it afterwards. It will be available on CEC social media within a couple of days. And this will allow us to better get to all of the questions that you have. So some of the ones that are not able to be answered today live, we will be able to follow up because the session is being recorded. Second, we encourage you to use the Zoom chat box feature to post and ask your questions. Please make sure your questions are as clear as possible. We will have, as I mentioned, subject matter experts, program directors, and staff members working diligently to answer your questions within the chat box. So if your question is not answered live, the intention is for it to be answered through the chat box feature. In addition, Christopher and Hiba will be reading and asking some of the questions live to your panelists on your behalf. And they will be ensuring that we adhere to some of the common themes that we've set for today. And like I mentioned, we will answer as many questions as time is allowed. We have allotted about 60 to 90 minutes. And as you know, we may not have time to answer all of your questions, but we will do our best to attend to all of the questions and follow up after the session. The topics for today's session are returning to fall, impact of COVID, and getting involved in research labs and senior design. If time permits, and based on the questions we are able to address, there may be an opportunity for us to invite a couple of students to ask their questions in person. And this will be done at the end of today's meeting. If you wish to ask your question in person, please use the raise your hand feature in Zoom, and we will call upon you on a first come, first served basis. And then we will ask one of the appropriate CEC leadership or unit representatives to respond to your question. If you choose to answer your question in person, we will be asking you to limit your question to only one as a courtesy to other attendees on today's town hall. And again, this will be towards the end of the session and if time is permitting. But in either case, we encourage you to post your questions in the chat box. And we will be doing our best to answer your questions throughout the event. Please do not, as the Dean mentioned, do not ask questions that are individual or case specific because our panelists and experts will not be able to answer questions on individual situations without the proper context. But you should not be discouraged from reaching out to your professors, your academic advisors, and CEC leadership with specific issues that pertain to you as individuals, and please send them email as soon as possible. To ensure a smooth experience throughout today's event, we will be asking you to mute your microphone unless we call on you for the live chat feature. And finally, we would like to use this opportunity to promote another virtual event this afternoon, continued conversation on fall 2020. It will take place this afternoon at 4 p.m. With other top FIU administrators. And I believe we will be posting this information in the chat box for you to register. We now have a few prepared slides, and we will start with some brief updates from some of our panelists. And I will move the slide here. And we will start. First, I would like to ask Donnelly to give us an update on COVID-19 safety measures and physical space changes that are taking place at the college.
Hello again. As you can imagine, we've been very, very busy at the college trying to ensure as much as possible your safety when you return as students, and also the safety of our faculty and staff. We have gone through the building and reconfigured some of the more public spaces. If you're familiar with EC, you know that we have a lobby space on the west side of the building. We also have the Panther Pit, and we have several quiet study spaces on the different floors. We have gone through and measured 6 feet minimum between each seating areas, and we have physically removed any excess tables and chairs and stored them elsewhere to remove temptations for gathering in those areas. The other thing that we are doing in classrooms, we are also removing any excess seats, and we're going through each classroom to ensure that there's proper distancing between the faculty and the students and between each student individually. For those rooms that have fixed seating or where the tables and chairs cannot be moved, we will be taping them off and marking them as unusable if that classroom is being used for a face-to-face class in the fall. Additionally, we have gone through the building and put up several reminders of the proper PPE procedures, face masks. We have put floor decals to remind everyone to remain 6 feet apart and to walk to the right so that you are not crossing each other's path when you are in the building. We encourage everyone, and it will be a requirement when you return to the campus, to wear face masks while in the building. The university will be issuing face masks to both staff, faculty, and students. The process for the delivery of the face mask to the students is yet to be determined, so you will get more information on that coming up. But be assured that there will be one reusable face mask for each student. This is the perfect place for us to emphasize the personal responsibility piece of all of this. If you do not have a face mask, you need to reach out so that we can get you one. But remember, you cannot be in the building at any time without proper covering, face covering. As it refers to the cleaning and the frequency of cleaning of common spaces such as bathrooms, hallways, and stairwells, there will be increased cleanings of all of those areas throughout the day. The best way to avoid contracting or getting someone else sick is really to maintain your distance, wash your hands frequently and properly, and to stay home if you are not feeling well. We will be installing in each classroom for students and for faculty proper PPE signage, just as a reminder. We will also be installing sanitizer wipe dispensers so that each student can wipe down their desk before they sit at the desk. That's for those of you who will be taking face-to-face classes. And when you leave, we encourage the student using the desk to also wipe it down before you leave. So that double-edged attack should eliminate most of the germs that are left behind by your predecessors. And we encourage everyone, there's a Panthers Protecting Panthers app that everyone will be encouraged to complete before coming into campus, and it will help you identify whether any symptoms that you may have require you to stay home or if you can progress to coming onto the campus. Again, we are here to serve you as much as possible. We don't have all the answers, but we are willing to go and seek as much clarity as possible. So please reach out to us. My name is Donnelly. I go by Donna. And let me know if you have any questions. Thank you and stay well.
Thank you, Donna. And again, thank you for all of the work you've been putting in behind the scenes. We appreciate you very much. Next, we'll hear from Dr. Weiss, who will give us a quick overview of the fall delivery modes.
Hey, thank you, Andrew. So in the fall, as you can see on this slide, there are 4 basic ways that courses are going to be delivered. I'll start from the right side, the fully online courses. So these are courses that FIU has been doing for many years. Almost all students have taken online courses, fully online courses at some point in a normal career. Our statistics tell us that most students are taking at least one online course every semester. These are courses that have been developed over time with professional instructional designers. Importantly, they do not have any set meeting patterns. Students sort of follow the pathway through the course at their own pace during the week. So each week there's some work that's supposed to be done, but there's no particular time during the day when the class meets. These courses are completely unchanged from the past. We're running about the same number of these courses as we've done in previous semesters. And you would know those courses because the section numbers typically start with an R and a B. So if you see a course section RBC, that's a fully online course that has been running exactly the same for years. We have face-to-face classes. So those are the courses that you've typically taken in the past. So those meet on campus in person, usually 2 days a week for 75 minutes or 3 days a week for 50 minutes for a 3-credit class. So those are the courses that are now have to be fixed or changed because of social distancing. If you've been in those courses in the past, you know most of our classrooms are packed with every seat, and we can't do that anymore. And so therefore many of those courses have now been changed to be approved synchronous remote, meaning these courses will retain their meeting patterns. So if they were scheduled to meet Tuesday, Thursday, 12:30 to 1:45, they still meet 12:30 to 1:45, but they no longer meet on campus. They meet remotely via Zoom at that time. Many of the classes that were face-to-face were switched over to remote on about July 1st. And in the college, most of the classes are now either fully online or in remote. The other modality is a certified hybrid. So those are courses that meet 1 time a week. Again, these have been done in the past. So we have courses that have been taught in certified hybrid mode. Again, they've been designed that way, and they continue to meet that way. The only change now is that historically, certified hybrid has been 50-50. So it would meet 3-credit course would meet 75 minutes a week. We are now allowed to meet once a week, but in 50 minutes. So if you had a Monday, Wednesday, Friday course, it can meet Monday in the 50-minute pattern, and the remaining work would be done with online work. All of these courses are using Canvas. What you can assume right now by looking at your schedule is that if you have a course that is remote or fully online, it will not be changed back to meeting in person. So the university is not going to add a requirement to your schedule to come to campus if it's not already there. There is a process ongoing right now in which some face-to-face or hybrid sections are switching to remote as needed, either because of the unavailability of rooms or in case the instructor is in a high risk and cannot come to campus. And you may be seeing a few of those changes every now and then on the schedule, but for the most part, the schedule is set.
Thank you, Dr. Weiss. Next, we will hear from Dr. Alejandra Parra about resources and information for our international students. Dr. Parra?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, we have here a slide that we have prepared in our office because unfortunately, the international student reality has changed a couple of times since the pandemic began. And when we were in the middle of the pandemic in the spring, could you put the next slide, Andrew? Oh, there it is. Yes, thank you. When we were in the middle of the pandemic in March 2020, SCVP, that is the governmental organization that dictates the policies for our international students, they allowed international students to go online Everything was an emergency situation, and students were allowed to stay in the country, continue online, or if they wanted to leave the country, they could continue online from their home countries. When the summer began, we continued on with the same methodology. The students were able to do online, and we weren't expecting any changes. On July 6th, SCVP came up with a guidance update that said that students, all international students, needed to have at least one face-to-face course to be able to be in active status immigration-wise. So that caused a lot of confusion and a lot of anxiety in international students. And around the United States, so much so that SCVP and the government was sued by Harvard and MIT. And on July 14th, said we're going back to what was happening in March 2020. That means that our international and online full-time load and remain in status and be able to continue their studies from wherever they are and comfortably enough depending on the offerings that the university has. I think that Dr. Weiss made it very clear in the sense we do have some courses that are being offered face-to-face, but they're for international students now to carry a full load that might be online or maybe one course remote, one course hybrid, but it is okay. If you look at the table that we have created in our office, you can see that there are different scenarios for students who are continuing students, and I will touch upon new students in a moment. So if you are here in the United States as an international student, of course, your CVS record will remain active. You must enroll full-time. That's the requirement. You always have to be enrolled full-time. And you must have US health insurance. That is a requirement, cannot change. We are, as state university system, trying to change this and to bring some relief to international students, but we do not have that information yet. And of course, you can work on campus if you have an on-campus employment opportunity. There is another scenario, that is if you are overseas. Let's say you decide to stay home because you are not able to travel, there are travel restrictions. If you are registered full-time, even if you're online, your CVS record will remain active. And of course, as I said, you must enroll full-time. You must be enrolled in US health insurance, and that is what the state university system is trying to fight. And you can work on campus if that job that you have allows you to work remotely. So if you're staying home, this is one of the scenarios. The other scenario is the leave of absence. What happens is you get leave of absence. What happens to your CVS record? It gets terminated. Although it is terminated for an approved absence, and then you can enroll in less credits. You don't need to enroll full time, or you may not even enroll and take a semester off. Of course, that is something that you have to discuss with your academic advisor to make sure that that is okay with your program. You are not required to purchase insurance. You cannot work on campus because your CVS record is not active, and you must complete a COVID-19 leave of absence form that is on our website. And I'm going to tell you in a moment where you can find all these resources. But this is the third scenario for continuing students. For new students, I think that those students who are trying to decide if you are going to come to the United States or not, you need to remain in touch with your academic advisors, with your program coordinators, to make sure that you are informing them of what you're doing. In general, we're advising our new students to stay in touch with our Office of International Admissions. because they are the ones who will update the immigration paperwork for the student to, maybe you're gonna stay home and start online, and then in that case you don't need to go and get your visa or do all the embassy process. You can actually stay home, start your classes online, and then come in the spring. That's why it's very important that you stay in touch with the Office of International Admissions. Now, one of the things that I'd like to make very, very clear is, you know that the international student who comes to the United States has a fantastic opportunity at the end of his or her program, that is the OPT, or Optional Practical Training. Students apply for optional practical training during the last semester of their program, usually 90 days before the last day of class. So one of the things that I'd like to clarify is that if you're thinking about staying home or taking a semester off, if this is your last semester, please consider it and do not do that. You need to be in the United States to apply for your OPT benefit, and you need to be here to submit all your paperwork. Applying for OPT, one of the requirements is that you have been in the United States on an F1 visa at least 2 semesters in a row. So if you forfeit that benefit during your last semester because you stayed home, then unfortunately you will lose that benefit of OPT. So this is something that we really want to clarify, because it's very important, especially in this college, when the OPT is so crucial for your professional success. Our office has been operating remotely since March 16th. And one of the things that we have implemented is our virtual office. Our virtual office has been visited by approximately 2,500 international students already. We're open every day from 9 to 12 and 2 to 4:30. And you can access our virtual office on that link on the side of the screen, go.fiu.edu/virtual office. It's very easy to access the office, and it's basically a Zoom room where we are there to talk to students, to answer questions from wherever you are. And please, if you have any question regarding your immigration status, do not do anything before you consult with one of our ISSS immigration advisors. It's very important, especially at this time. So bottom line is, if you are here in the United States and you're taking all online courses, for the time being and until we get something else from SCBP that they may update, for the time being, this is okay. You can continue with your plans for the fall, and I wish you all the best. And of course, I'm here to answer your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Parra. You're extremely informative. We do have a few questions that were posted in the chat that would relate to you. So if you could please take a look at those, and thank you again.
Absolutely, thank you.
And last but not least, Dr. McGoran will give a quick overview of the topics concerning our labs, supervised research, and senior design.
Right, so our labs, our research labs are up and running. There are limitations to the research labs in terms of the number of people that can be in the lab at any one time, and the requirements for keeping the wearing a face mask, wearing PPE, cleaning the instruments, very similar to what Donna had explained before. So the research labs are limited to 2 people at a time. So the coordination of the schedules is extremely important. So for graduate students that need to work in the lab to finish and to continue in their research, they need to make sure that they're in communication with their major professors to get that approved. And while currently there's probably not much activity of undergraduates working in the laboratory, but that's not, it's not allowed, but every case will be treated individually to get permission for that student and faculty, quite frankly, anyone working in the lab, to make sure that we know who is going into the lab and that precautions are being made to keep everyone safe. So it isn't correct that there will be no undergraduate students working in labs, but they are going to have to coordinate, similar to the graduate students. In terms of the senior design, many of our programs require that students build and test their design, and that is not easily done remotely when the students aren't getting together. So again, we are going to do everything we can to make that available. You need to coordinate with your the instructor for your course and the department, so that we can arrange for those activities. There'll be, hopefully we'll have, the same criteria in terms of students. We have to know who is going where, and we need to ensure that everyone is following the guidelines so that everyone remains safe. Did I cover what you wanted me to cover, Andrew?
Yes. Thank you, Dr. McGorn. We appreciate your time. So at this time, before I turn it over to Christopher, I wanted to so we could start addressing some of your questions. I wanted just to remind you all to please post your questions in the chat box feature. And I also wanted to remind our area and unit representatives to please make sure that you also monitor the chat, so we're able to answer any questions that may come up. So Christopher, first question. I'm sorry, Hiba, first question, I apologize.
So the first question we received was, assuming current SEVP guidelines remain the same, would an international student be able to switch from studying overseas versus in the US once the semester has started, or should that decision be made prior to the start of the semester?
Dr. Pata, if you wouldn't mind taking that question, please.
Not at all, of course, yes. And I also responded it in writing. So this is the thing, you are going to be outside of the country taking online courses, okay? So when the travel ban and you are able to travel, take a flight and come to the United States, you can come, but there will be a lot of questions at the port of entry. If you're taking courses online, why are you coming back? We cannot guarantee that it's going to be smooth into the country, but we cannot tell you that you won't be allowed into the country. That's what I can say about that today, okay? Because if you are studying out of the country, it's because you were taking courses online, and then when you're coming in, they're going to question, why are you coming back if you can take courses online? So unless the courses are changed into a face-to-face mode, and then the student can show that, okay, now I'm going to be studying face-to-face or in person, then the entrance to the country could be easier.
So Dr. Parra, let me add something on that as well. We do have a lot of undergraduates, so that's for graduate students, that's probably true. But the most important thing is about FIU. FIU, if, for example, the feds or the customs people look at us, we're on a hybrid mode.
Yes. So
we're not like online as many universities. So the students coming in with a valid visa, unless there should not be a concern for them if they are returning. For example, we have many Kuwaiti students. If they're returning, I don't think there should be any issue whatsoever. Just the fact that we are hybrid. There may be questions going there, but we can't predict how they will answer the questions and how and what those questions will be. So that's a different story. But as far as them wanting, if you have a valid visa and you got it and you want to come up and say, I'm going to FIU and I'm a student there should be no reason from our published data that they should say, oh, but FIU is online. We are hybrid, so therefore they should, if no other questions are asked, if there's no other issues, there should be no problem at all.
Thank you both Dr. Parra and Dr. Velázquez. Christopher, you want to take the next question?
All right. Good afternoon once again, everybody. One of the questions we received, it says, I am currently in my home country and I will take senior design in the fall. Do I have to return to the United States?
Mark, did you
perhaps
go ahead?
Yeah, I can answer that in part. At least speaking from the electrical and computer engineering department, you should be able to take senior design from your home country. You should inform your instructor and team members of this intention so that you can discuss, work out, and agree the logistics for your project execution, such as the project design, the construction, testing, and presentation. I know, for example, that Professor Arellano from Electrical and Computer uses YouTube videos for the teams to do their presentation. So the teams will compile eventually a YouTube video to present their project. So in summary, you should be able to do that. I know Dr. Bootson is here and he represents mechanical engineering. Maybe he wants to add something about senior design for mechanical engineering.
Yeah, so for mechanical engineering, we are completely allowing students to take senior design from their home country as the class will be fully remote, and we will come up with solutions to work on senior design with the students together, but for sure, at least for mechanical, senior design can be taken from your home country.
If any other unit representative would like to speak, you can do that now. If not, you can write in the chat any department-specific updates. Dr. Godavarty, you're on mute.
I'm in the biomedical engineering department, so we did have a town hall meeting about a week and a half back, and we did inform the students to summarize. Senior design students, we had an issue with some students telling what they're out of country, they cannot come back. And we said that the senior design is a group effort. There are parts of the project that they can do remotely and still meet the requirements because it is a team and it all depends on how they coordinate. But in short, the answer is yes. You can be outside the country and still be able to do the senior design. So it's very flexible based on how students are and their current situations.
So, thank you, Dr. Godavarty. Dr. Weiss, would you like to add anything to this?
The only thing I would add to what I've heard from the department is it would certainly, I would agree that it would be helpful to disclose, that you're out of the country for the departments in which teams are assigned, because there might be time zone challenges and teams might be able to be formed with taking that into consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Weiss. Hiba, would you like to offer the next question?
Yes, the next question we received was, do I need to pay more money to apply for that OPT?
Dr. Parra, would you like to address that question?
Yes, thank you. Yes, the application for OPT is an application that is done through with the United States Customs and Immigration Services. And there is a fee of $410 that the students have to pay when they apply for OPT. It is a process. I'm going to enter the link with all the instructions in the chat box. This is a process that takes between 8 and 12 weeks. It has to be sent out to USCIS and it has to be approved. OPT is a benefit that can last 12 months, or if the student is on a STEM field, they can extend for 2 more years. So it can be an OPT that can last for 3 years. And there is a lot of paperwork that needs to be prepared, and the students should start applying for OPT at least 90 days before the last day of class on the semester that he or she is graduating.
Thank you, Dr. Prada.
No problem.
Christopher, next question, please.
My question is, classes that are in person for the fall, and assuming that the COVID pandemic gets worse, will those classes go remotely?
Dr. Velakis, would you like to address that?
Yes, Christopher, I would say that we are prepared for these things. The president is aware of that. And you can say that we want to make sure that everybody's safe and that we're not, careless in any way possible. So let me, without being more specific, let me say that even yesterday, this issue that you brought up was discussed, with the deans and the president. So let me say, I'll leave it at the fact that we are concerned and that we will respond, of course, to these concerns as well. I just can't do it in any further detail at this particular moment, other than just to say that we're concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dr. Velakis. I also want to remind students that some of these university-wide protocols can be asked and addressed at the university sponsored town hall later this afternoon at 4 o'clock. And the information was put in the chat box that may address some of those university specific decisions. So thank you. Hiba, next question, please.
From the chat box, it seems like we've answered all the questions and people responded to them. So I'm not sure if we have any more questions.
I have a couple.
Okay.
Okay, so I have another question. It says, will all classes be taught in the 4 modalities?
Which modality, Christopher?
The 4 modalities that is being offered by FIU, will all the classes be offered in those 4 modalities?
Now, let me have Dr. Weiss to address that. I would rather have him take that.
I think if Christopher's question is whether every course that we offer will be offered in 4 different ways, then the answer is no, right? So some courses will have 1 section. The section might be an online section, it might be a remote section, and that's the section, right? So other courses, things that have high enrollments like statics or some of the computer science classes may have 5 or 6 sections, and there may be several different options for those courses. But for the most part, the primary option is going to be an online or remote option.
Thank you, Dr. Weiss. Christopher, would you like to ask this question?
So in that note, will more classes open up to be offered online if sections are full for the fall term?
Dr. Weiss can take that, of course, but definitely the quick answer is yes, but let him, elaborate more.
So yeah, so the quick answer is that's something that each department is handling. The department I'm most familiar with, which has rapid enrollment growth, is computer science and ECE, and I know they've been adding sections as we speak for classes as they come full. And in some cases, they have them ready to go as the class becomes full. And they appear the next day as soon as the class becomes full. In other cases, the departments might have to look to see if they can find faculty to teach the course. And in other cases, if a class is full, but there's just a couple of students that need to get in, then those typically get handled right as the semester starts. with various close course overrides. There's always a period after the semester ends before the next semester starts where students change their mind. So a class that's full all of a sudden becomes not as full as it used to be. If students have changed prerequisites or decide to switch to another course. And so there's a lot of stuff that's being looked at. I would urge all students, if a class has a waiting list, that they should put their name on the waiting list, because that helps the departments decide if a class is full and has enough demand to warrant a new section, or if a class is full but they could probably just handle it at the last minute by adding a seat or two.
Thank you, Dr. Weiss. Christopher, we're going to go to you again for the next question.
Thank you. How will senior design or capstone classes be offered in the fall?
Dr. McGorn, would you like to touch on this again, since it was in your slide?
How are they going to be offered in the fall? It depends really on, many of the programs have 2-semester senior design. The first semester usually is working in groups to come up with your proposal and getting into groups, and then the second semester often is when the groups work on their project, and that's where they really need to have more interaction with each other, culminating in a design, build and design. So the courses that are we talking about courses here? Because it seems like I already addressed this question.
Just senior design and capstone, senior design course, that's it.
Right. So, again, as I said a little while ago, the portions of the courses that can be done remotely are pretty much all going to be done remotely. The portion of the course in which students need to get together and build and design something, we're going to make arrangements so that can be done. But the design courses, the first semester of most of the design courses are probably all scheduled for remote. The second semester of those design courses may be scheduled for hybrid, but of course that will depend on each individual program. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you, Dr. McGorn. And I also wanted to remind the unit representatives to please monitor the chat. There are a few other questions coming in that may be unit specific. Christopher, I'm gonna go back to you again for another question, please.
My next question is, students who take in-person classes for the fall semester, will their exams be also in person?
Dr. Velakis or Dr. Weiss, would you like to address that? Dr. Velakis?
Let me repeat the question, Christopher. The question is that if students registered for in-person class and let's say that the class becomes hybrid, as an example, does that mean that their tuition will change? Is that kind of the question? Is that an example of the question?
No. I mean in the exam, like if the school will give the exam to them in person as well, or will they be required to take the exams online despite the fact they had classes in person?
Can I?
Yeah, that's it.
If the class is hybrid, or in person, the faculty member has, the faculty member could have an exam that is in person. If the class is synchronous remote, then the faculty member will be required to have all of their assignments remote, exams, quizzes, whatever. But if it is a hybrid or a face-to-face, then the faculty can choose to have their exam on campus.
I wanted to add one more thing to Christopher, that the professor, if the class is hybrid, as Dr. Magoran mentioned, can have the exam using an online process. And the only one that the state has approved is the honor lock. So they're not going to be able to do anything that is not state approved and mandated, and also university at the same time, sort of blessed. So these are the faculty member doesn't have choices of what to do other than what's already been, in terms of the exam, what's already been mandated. If that kind of better answers the question, their hands are pretty tied up on that.
Thank you, Dr. Velakis, and thank you, Dr. McGoran. Hiba, I'm going to go to you now for the next question, please.
Okay. Hello, I have a question for international students. This question is if one of U.S. visas expires in August, but he is not ready to return to his country, will this affect his application for the OPT and work here? Thank you.
Dr. Pata, I'm going to go to you for this. Thank you.
Yes, of course. The legality in this country is given to the students by the I-20. So as long as the I-20 is current, the student is fine. If the visa expires while the student is in the United States, it is okay, unless the student leaves the United States. When the student leaves the United States, he or she will have to go and renew the visa in his or her home country. But as long as they remain in the country, that it will not affect the OPT application.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Pata.
No problem.
Christopher, I'm going to go to you now for the next question.
Will there be consequences for those that refuse to wear a mask on campus?
Let me answer that question. That is not, the question is every student required to wear a mask? That's the only question we can answer. And the answer is yes, they're required to wear a mask, Christopher. The other is about what is the police related. That is not our purview to do that, because we don't control that, right? We don't control the sanctions and so on and so forth. But I assume that he cannot be in class if they refuse to wear a mask. So the professor who will be there will have the right to request the student to be removed, right? And like every other circumstance that we have on campus, there will be an ombudsman, that they can call and they can communicate with and all that. And I think, Donna, I don't know if you want to answer that extreme circumstance that may happen. It may happen, Christopher. It's not unusual. We should be prepared for all circumstances. So I don't know, again, you're asking, what is that a law, for example, or is that a rule? And what's the difference between a law and a rule? Or is there an ordinance, like a city rule versus a law? So that's why they call it ordinance. This is the nomenclature as to what is a law, an ordinance, a rule, and the sanctions associated with that. So, Donna, could you please a little bit elaborate on that?
Sure. The answer is actually much simpler than that. We are all required, students will be required to wear face masks when on campus. Employees, faculty, staff have the permission to remind students who are not wearing masks to wear those masks, and those of us who feel comfortable approaching students will do so. If the person continues to refuse to wear the mask, the recourse is to call the police. If the police comes and has to deal with the students, the police may refer that student for disciplinary action. So yes, there are consequences for refusing to wear a mask on campus.
Okay, Hiba, if you can ask the next question, please.
Okay. If a face-to-face class or hybrid class is underway and a case is confirmed, student or instructor, mid-semester, will the class be required to move online as a result, or will the original mode of instruction continue?
Dr. Velakis, you're on mute. I'm sorry.
Yeah, could you repeat the question, Hiba? I wasn't able to pick it all up. Would you mind?
Yes. Okay. If a face-to-face class or hybrid class is underway and a case is confirmed, student or instructor, mid-semester, will the class be required to move online as a result, or will the original mode of instruction continue?
I'm going to let Donna, address that a little bit. Of course, again, it's a kind of a, situations of extreme or not extreme, but this is going to happen. Let us expect that we should be prepared. We are prepared for these circumstances, to happen. And we know what the person is, and then there are rules, people that come in touch with a person and the tracing and so on. So Donna, do you have some, better or maybe some direct answers to that?
Iba, your message was kind of muted. Can you clarify again, please?
Yeah, so he's basically asking if a student or teacher contacted the coronavirus during teaching, would the class remain remote, like move to remote, or remain as it was hybrid or face-to-face?
Okay. So the response is, if someone contacts the COVID-19 virus, their university has contact tracing, and we also have a very, very rigorous procedure for sanitizing and disinfecting the spaces. So once the case is reported, it may be that the classroom and the class will be moved. However, that is going to be on a case-by-case basis. So the first thing would be to report the case, get all the wheels in motion, get all the sanitizing done, trace contact, and then the decision on how the class can move forward will be made.
Thank you, Donna, and thank you, Dr. Velakis. Christopher, I have another.
I wanted to add, I don't know if Dr. Wise wanted to comment on something there, and I wanted to add, if you would like to also, I know your hand was raised up, Mark. Would you want to comment on that, or you're all good?
I didn't know I raised my hand, but well, needless to say, if the instructor tests positive, then the instructor will not be allowed back on campus for a while. And we would either have to find another instructor, or if the instructor was positive but really asymptomatic, and maybe it will continue. But as Donna said, I think the primary thing at this point is everything is going to be done, case by case. But with the health and well-being of the students, and faculty in mind. And as Donna said, this could have a chain reaction on other classes that are scheduled in the same classroom.
Thank you. And Dr. Velakis, did you want to add, or should I move to the next question?
No, all good. Thank you.
Christopher, do you have another question from the chat?
How do I get involved in undergraduate research?
Dr. McGoran?
You should go to the website at the Honors College. They have an undergraduate research hub in which they have a link that says Find a Mentor. And on that link, if you type in some keywords, for instance, say cancer nanomedicine, my name as well as several other names will come up. And then you should contact those individual faculty, tell them what your interests are. You really have to contact individual faculty. Another way is to go to the websites of individual departments and look at what their faculty research. Some of the faculty may have room in their lab for students, some may not, but you have to just keep asking.
Let me also add, if I can, thank you, Dr. McGoran. Let me also add that most of the problems, most of the challenges we have is students wanting to do undergraduate research. That is, there's a lot more demand than what's available. And this should be considered equivalent to doing an industry experience. And I'd like to emphasize that as much as possible. They can learn a lot more from the labs that we have and build things and do things than sometimes go to industry. So the approach will be to talk to, in addition to doing exactly what Dr. McGoran mentioned about, the Honors College and putting, your area and your interest, you can also work with your undergraduate advisor in the departments, go and reach out to them, or simply just go and put your interests on the web as well, and put FIU with it, and a lot of names will appear and so on. But definitely you can go to every department and you can see the areas of every faculty member. And if that fits your motto and your area, reach out to them. And there's many REUs, there is research, engineering, research for undergraduates. And there's also dollars, and we'll come to the college as well, ask our Office of Research, Dr. McGorn, and they will help you. Just reach out to them and they will help you to get connected with faculty members based on your research interests. I will put a caveat that also, number one, we like to, usually these REU students or undergraduates who are put into the labs for research, there usually may be a higher GPA requirement. So a professor may have that, that requirement. So that's something that you're gonna have to work with the professor about it. So I won't hide that and put it under the rug. But at the same time, we want to promote as many people as possible for our undergraduate program, who is large and one of the best, to promote more of our own students to pursue higher degrees in the graduate program. So that's one of the goals associated with doing an REU, is to see, are you interested to learn in more in a certain area, because the undergraduate program is kind of rudimentary, does not specialize you a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Velakis. And I want to call everyone's attention to the chat box. Dr. Butson posted for mechanical engineering students specifically. Dr. Stanislas posted a link, as well as Yesem. The Center for Diversity and Student Success also runs the Opportunities for Undergraduate Research and Scholarship program, ours. We finished our inaugural cohort this spring and summer, and we plan to be soliciting more students that are funded and paid hourly in the fall semester. So please keep an eye out for that. And Julie, thank you for putting that in the chat as well. I know biomedical engineering through their CURE program also has opportunities there. So the College of Engineering and Computing is definitely committed to undergraduate research, and there's many different resources for you to take advantage of, and encourage you can reach out to me directly or any of the people who posted links in the chat. So thank you. Like you said, Hiba, I know you have a few questions in queue.
Yes, okay. Could international students apply for outstanding graduates, and how to apply?
Dr. Pada?
I saw that question, and I was hoping that someone from the college could answer the question, because I don't see a problem with an international student applying for that, but I'm not sure about the regulations at the College of Engineering.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tony.
Could you repeat the question, and because I'm not sure exactly what the question is.
The question was, could international students apply for outstanding graduates, and if so, how to apply?
We're talking about the Outstanding Graduate Award that's given each semester from our departments. Is that what the question, is that what it's about? Because of course we don't have any restriction, obviously. We don't have it now. Maybe the question is whether or not, if they're out of the country, they could apply for those awards. And we don't have any restrictions for those particular awards. We have no restrictions.
Yeah, I will say also, Hiba, that there's absolutely no restrictions in the excellence of a student, no matter what their country is from. If you're our student, you have an equal right regardless of where you're coming from. That is absolutely no issue whatsoever. I don't think nobody asked you anything where you come from. Absolutely not when you apply or when you're considered for these awards or for these recognitions at all. So that's, I would say, it's an assurance for that, and I'm not aware of any restrictions whatsoever.
Thanks. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Hiba, did you have another question to ask?
Yes, I did. I have a question about insurance. The question is, if the company does not help purchase insurance, do I need to buy insurance separately? Is insurance mandatory?
Okay, so this is a question on OPT, and I answered it on the chat, but I will answer it also verbally. When the student starts OPT, the health insurance is not mandatory. However, we highly recommend it. We know the prices of our healthcare here in the United States. The student is given the option of continuing with the university health insurance, or the student can also take health insurance with their employer or private health insurance. But it is not mandatory to have health insurance while the student is on OPT.
Thank you, Dr. Parra.
No problem, thank you.
So as we mentioned at the beginning of today's town hall, we will invite some of you, if you are comfortable and would like to ask a question in person. You can raise your hand via the raise your hand feature in Zoom. And we will take those questions now and give you an opportunity to speak. We are continuing as well at this time to use the chat box. So you can still ask your questions in the chat box. So we are open for the in-person questions now. Christopher, did you have another chat box question you wanted to address?
All the chat box questions I've seen so far have been answered by the union representatives. Eva, do you have anyone?
Yes, I have two questions. So the first question is, with the decision to be, when we were speaking about if an instructor contacts or student contacts COVID, the student asks, would the decision be made when someone tests positive, or if they have reason to believe they have contracted the virus, such as being in contact with someone with the virus?
I'll take that. Eva, I actually answered that in the chat, and I basically said the decision to cancel a class or to change the modality of delivery will be made at the time that the case is reported. I posted in the chat the website or the email where students should report their cases confirmed or suspected. It's the University Ombudsman's Office. And once the case is reported, then the tracing mechanism is initiated. And from there, decisions on how the class can or should move forward would be made. So again, it's on a case-by-case basis once we get a report, confirmed or suspected.
Thank you, Donna. Hiba, I know you have another question.
Okay, I apologize for that.
No problem.
Question is, I'm an international student and all my classes show remote or no room needed. Will be changed before classes begin, or will it stay remote because I'm planning on leaving the US?
So Dr. McGoran or Dr. Parra, which?
No, Dr. Weiss may take that. Certainly, Dr. Parra, if you're willing to answer that, that would be great, please.
Well, actually, you know, the answer that I gave in the chat box was that, you know, if the class is remote, they have to make sure that they remain remote, and that's something they have to confirm with their academic advisor or academic department to make sure. So I'm going to leave it up to Dr. Weiss to answer.
Let me add to Hiba something on that the caution that we're living in a what I call a situation that is changing all the time. I think Christopher had a question earlier, said what happens if COVID-19 cases worsen? And I've mentioned that we're monitoring that. We are worried about that. We're concerned about that. So there's all kinds of things that can happen that we can't predict. And we have to be flexible on that. So my guess is that it is what it is right now. And there's always like, okay, 90% is going to stay online, or it's going to stay like that. But you can never say 100%. Those days may not be that kind of flexible, that kind of decision making that we used to have before is not there today. And also look what happened, you know, recently with ICE and the restrictions, and then they were reversed. We fought. And rest assured that we as university people, we care for our students. Our goal is to make sure that we protect and we care for the students. And that is our #1 priority. but sometimes we may not, we also have to comply with laws that may not be intended for one thing, but they can be interpreted for another. And it's all of those things come and tumbled in, which, you know, provide the incentive to say maybe it's 99% true, but there's always 1% that may not happen. So it's a matter of percentage. I would say if it's remote right now, the likelihood of remaining remote is close to 99.9%. Okay, but will I be able to say that it's 100? No, I never will.
Thank you, Dr. Velakis. Again, I wanted to remind folks that the raise your hand feature is something that you can take advantage of if you like. Again, you're more than welcome to continue through the chat box as well. And I know Christopher has another chat box question.
Will research labs be open in the fall?
Yes, as I said before, you know, research is continuing. Actually, research has been going on continuously. So research really has not been shut down. The requirements, though, are that in order to get access to a lab, you have to be approved by the Office of Research and Economic Development, ORED. And the approval really is based on how many students or how many people are already working in that lab and what is going to be actually done in that lab. But all of those requests will be approved on the condition that all of the safety requirements are being followed.
Thank you, Dr. McGorn. And I know, Christopher, we have the question about the circuits lab. Will materials needed for the engineering lab, example circuits lab, be covered by the engineering faculty? And Dr. Velakis, if you could take that question for me, please.
Right. So excellent question, because we went to the end of the world to make sure that the students have the equipment and the material they need. So it is something that I've been involved, and it's something where the college has to step into quite generously. Let me not ever put numbers, you know, on the chat or anywhere, but quite generously, I would say it was a very, very difficult decision, but also one that shows our commitment, you know, to making sure that our students have do their classes the best way possible and don't lose anything. So what we've done is we will be sending, that's the plan. The plan is to send. Notice that I'm never going to say 100%, but the plan is to send equipment to the homes or to the place of the students, and the students will use those equipment to do their research there, and then they have to return the equipment, you know, back. So that's an incredibly generous. So we will now buy these things individually for every, you know, student and send it to them, to their addresses. So that's one that was a departmental initiative, and it is one that I've approved, and it's one that makes me very proud I was able to do it.
Thank you.
Similar things may be done, are being done elsewhere, but sometimes, for example, if you need machinery and 3D printing and so on, they won't be able to do those things. These are highly expensive, you know, equipment that you have to be in place. So videos are being done for that. Plus, the students will be able to come individually or in pairs, you know, to schedule to complete the experiments, whatever it is that they have to do there. So all of these things will be done by a faculty member in charge of those laboratories and those experimental courses. But rest assured, instead of just having a whole bunch of students in there, 50, 40, 30, whatever students, now they will hear the experiment on a video and the training on the video, and then they'll be able to come in individually or in pairs and with the proper precautions in a large distant, with, you know, proper distance, you know, classes beyond 6 feet and all that, a couple meters and all that, to be able to, you know, to carry out, you know, the necessities for completing the experiments and the experimental class.
Thank you, Dr. Velakis. That's great. Christopher, I think we have our first raised hand person. If you can.
Yes, Alejandra, you could ask your question.
Hi, yes. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Alejandra Masu. I am the president of Women in Computer Science, and I'm also the director of Miami Hacks, which is our newest hackathon happening this fall. So when I think about these town halls, I think about it in the form of a student leader. So I was wondering how the college is going to continue supporting student organizations because we are leading these kind of like really big events, and now they're kind of like in a remote setting. So I was just wondering what your thoughts were, or for anybody in the panel, of how you guys are going to continue supporting us that way.
Dr. Velakis, if you would like to go first, and then I can also follow up as well.
Right. Absolutely. Well, what I like to say to Alejandra is that I'm very, very and totally impressed with the YPE and the work that they've done, the leadership, and what you guys have done recently, with the hackathon that was sponsored and done in conjunction with Dr. Saif Yusuf with the Office of Engagement of the President. So I'm very impressed. So please, you can also see that as an example. By the way, for those of you who are listening, what they've done, what the UPE has done at the Computer Science School is a nice program for tracing, COVID-19 cases. It's just very impressive. So congratulations to you guys, and you're an exemplar organization. You will always remain an exemplar organization. I can see that. Very active. So kudos to you guys, and keep it up. And you will, of course, have our support, the college's support, anytime, any day. Rain or shine, and to every organization. And I hope that they can contact you, Alejandra, so that they can learn how you guys are doing great, regardless of what's happening around you, regardless of the difficulties that we're facing, and that you are being an example of the can-do attitude of being able to succeed with the odds that we have today. So I'll leave now to Andrew to say more, but let me just leave it at that. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Velakis. Alejandra, in the meeting that we had with the student organizations on July 9th, we did announce that we are going to be providing student organizations with the same incentive structure through Engineers on Wheels. So we are moving Engineers on Wheels to 100% virtual starting in the fall. With that, there will be many opportunities for student organizations to help us build out the website and conduct virtual visits, to produce how-to videos, and put some of your demonstrations and activities online. So the incentive structure that we have through conducting Engineers on Wheels visits will remain the same. So you will be able to get funding directly from the Center for Diversity and Student Success through our Engineers on Wheels work. So that remains the same. And Julie, if you have anything to add, please do.
Hi, well, I know Alejandra very well. She is part of a up and coming hackathon that's coming up in the fall shortly after Shell Hacks. They're part of ACM and the Women in Computer Science. So we will actually be having 2 back-to-back hackathons this fall. But our center is always going to provide you any resources or any information that you may need to conduct any event virtual for now, because everything in person is TBD. But I do serve as the advisor to a lot of these hackathons and for a lot of the student organizations. So you could definitely come to me or Emanuela or Steve or Andrew for anything that you might need, or if you feel like you need a specific resource or a program or a software or anything, just come to us and we'll definitely be able to help you out. If there's anything in particular that you needed, Alejandra, please let me know. You have my email. And we'll definitely answer. But we are supporting the student organizations. Just as always, we are encouraging you guys to have your e-board meetings, your events, anything you have virtually, go ahead and keep going. Anything in regards to recruitment or any type of activities that you guys want to conduct, please feel free to do them online in a Zoom format. We are more than happy to help.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie.
A little bit just because of the recruitment piece, and thank you, Alejandra, for your question. Great question. We're here to support you. We want to see you all succeed, and the same things will apply, but just in a virtual setting. And so the ways that student organizations that we've worked with in the past have been through engaging with employers, and we're going to do the same thing. So employers will be virtually recruiting with us, and they'll be doing info sessions, professional development sessions to help students, develop in ways where they can feel comfortable talking to employers. And so we'll be doing those virtual introductions so that student orgs can still be involved in that process.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Stanislaus. Thank you. Christopher, do you have any other questions? I don't see a raised hand.
I saw Duilio, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. He had his hand raised up. I don't know if they would like to ask their question. They are free to do so.
Will work study be available in the fall? The work study, will it be available in the fall?
Yeah, Julia, I do not know the answer to that. We do not run the work study program.
Yeah, could I say,
Yeah.
we got a message that not only will the work study be running, but the federal government is actually being more generous than they were in terms of the support of work study. So there actually might be more work study opportunities available. So that message came out a couple of weeks ago, maybe only to the faculty and not to the students, I'm not sure.
Thank you. And do we have—
So the idea is then to just apply and don't be shy. That's basically the message from Dr. McGorn. Apply, 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 and don't be shy. So put your name up there, put your will. Same thing with the REUs, with the researching for undergraduate students. Pursue, people will not come after you. They may give some information, but once you start looking yourself, you will find a wealth of information, right? And you will find people interested, because we are interested to get more and more undergraduates in. We're interested in getting more of our undergraduates to higher degrees and to graduate degrees. So you can be, there's some statistics that we like to increase our statistics on that. So just the more interest exists, the best it is. And we'd like to hear recommendations, particularly from organizational leaders, from our student leaders, how to get the message out that we want more of our undergraduates to get engaged, and both in terms of whatever, and also to be employed and also be paid within the university. So please, get the message out that both research, work study, whatever it is, we are here to accommodate, we're here to support, and we're here to provide a way of learning which is complementary to the classes you're taking.
Thank you, Dr. Velázquez. And before I turn it back over to Dr. Velázquez for closing remarks, I want to share with everyone the resources here that are provided by FIU. Ask Charlie, a site where you can get information and support you need as you build out your fall schedule. Emergency aid requests through FIU Strong. Those of you that may be impacted by COVID-19 and need emergency funding, please visit FIU Strong. There's an FAQ section for fall 2020 and COVID-19, as well as links to the Office of International Students and Scholar Services, thanks to Dr. Pata, who joined us today, and also our one-stop office, which has a live chat as well as email. And I also want to remind all of you that the university is hosting another chat this afternoon at 4 o'clock. So with that said, I will now turn it back over to Dr. Velázquez for closing remarks.
Well, we're out of time, and I wanted to, but we got to thank everybody for participating today. Wonderful contributions from you, Andrew. Thank you very much. Wonderful contributions from Christopher and Hiba. You guys provided an excellent forum for our students and all of our staff in the College of Engineering. And also I want to comment about Katie, Conrad, and about Dr. Para and everyone who has participated. You won't stop. I do know that we care. I do know that the whole university cares in an incredible way. And I also know, and I see that today with all of our students, that we have the stamina, we have the interest, we have the entrepreneurship, which is classic in this university, which is classic of our students, to go out there and make it happen and make sure that the difficulties that we have because of COVID-19 is not stopping you back, but it becomes an asset of how you become a problem solver rather than just, okay, what do I do now? Well, there are many examples of what happened with the hackathon. Many projects that we're doing today, we're carrying out the senior design, we're carrying out our classes, and we're overcoming incredible difficulties. And also we're creating a new pathway that is going to be very, very supportive, in the years to come. I'll say also one final word. When we come out of this, and the reason that we're successful is because of engineers today. Without the engineering innovations, we would not have been able to go and be productive and continue to have our economy going and continue to have our jobs going. And therefore, let us be very, very proud as engineers and scientists and computer scientists. Don't let that go away. Keep reminding of the community around you that we are very important. We are central to the economy. And therefore, what I am observing out of this, better salaries, better position in the economy. So please do not forget that you do have to fight for that, that it isn't, nothing is given to you for free. So, but at the same time, hey, we got a very good step upwards just because we're becoming successful and just because we are able to solve problems for the communities and for the companies that we are serving as well. So thank you for participating. All the best to you, and we look forward to serving you. We look forward to making you successful in any way possible. I assure you that and you can see that from today, from all of our people and across the university and across the college, that we are willing to go to the ends of the world. We're willing to do whatever we can within the parameters we have to help you out and make everything happen for you as successful as before. Thank you all.
Dr. Velazquez, thank you for your leadership and for engaging the students today. And a special shout out to Christopher and Hiba as your SGA senators. They are tremendous student leaders, and we are grateful to have them leading us through this as well. So thank you all very much. Stay safe and talk to everyone soon. Thank you.